Hi there, and welcome to Sleepy Deep Sea, a place for slow science and the deep rest that only the ocean can provide. As we drift away from the noise of the day, we invite you to share where you're joining us from in the comments. A small map of our community resting together across the globe as we all drift off, learning and unwinding, comforted by soft water. Tonight, we are leaving the terrestrial world behind. We are embarking on a vertical pilgrimage, a journey through the water column to the deepest crevice on the crust of our Earth, the Challenger Deep. Take one last deep breath of the surface air. Our journey into the crushing, beautiful silence of the deep begins now. The descent from the light, the threshold. Welcome to the edge of the world. Take a moment now, a physical, intentional moment to adjust your surroundings. Lower the brightness of your screen until it is a mere ghost of a glow. Ensure your pillows are supportive and your breath is beginning to find its natural, slow rhythm. But do not think of the distance yet. Do not worry about the 7 miles of water. Think only of the next inch. Think only of the weight of your own body settling into the mattress, much like we are about to settle into the sea. As we hover here at the surface, look up one last time. See the sun, a bright, burning disk in the sky. Feel its warmth on the top of your head, the bridge of your nose, and your shoulders. The Pacific Ocean around us is a vast, rolling sheet of cerulean glass. The waves are not aggressive. They are rhythmic, like the breathing of the planet itself. We are about to slip beneath that glass. Inhale the salty, ionized air. Feel it fill your lungs with the freshness of the spray. And as you exhale, imagine your body becoming heavier, denser, more aligned with the water. We begin our first descent from depth, 0 to 3,300 feet. The first few inches are a transition of sound. It is a boundary between two kingdoms. The wind disappears instantly. The white noise of the world, the distant engines, the rustle of leaves, the hum of electricity vanishes. In its place is a muffled, rhythmic thrum. It is the sound of the ocean's heart. You are now suspended. You are weightless. You are entering the epipelagic zone, the sunlight zone. For the next 10 miles of our journey, gravity is no longer your master. The water is your cradle. Feel the water press gently against your skin. A cool, supportive embrace that tells your muscles they no longer need to hold you up. You are safe. You are drifting. The epipelagic, the kingdom of color. We are drifting through the first 50 feet. The water here is so clear, it feels like liquid sapphire. The sunlight doesn't just enter the water, it shatters. It breaks into thousands of dancing ribbons of light, often called God rays or caustics. They sway across your vision in a hypnotic, rhythmic dance, illuminating the tiny particles of life, the plankton that drift like dust motes in a sunlit room. Think of the plankton, phytoplankton and zooplankton. These microscopic wanderers are the lungs of our planet. Every second breath you take is provided by these tiny organisms drifting in the sun. Watch them sparkle. They have no destination. They simply exist in the flow. Let your mind become like the plankton. No destination, only the flow. At 100 feet, the pressure begins its first subtle climb. You don't feel it as pain, but as a hugging sensation. The water is denser than the air. It holds you tighter. Look to your right. A sea turtle, perhaps a green or a loggerhead, glides past. Its movements are ancient and slow. It has been doing this for 100 million years. Watch the way its flippers move through the water like wings through a heavy sky. It is effortless. Relaxation is not the absence of movement. It is the absence of effort. At 200 feet, we pass the upper reaches of the coral reefs. These are the cities of the sea, the most crowded neighborhoods on Earth. Notice the colors, vibrant pinks, electric yellows, and deep oranges. Scientifically, these colors are a miracle of biology. But as we sink deeper, I want you to watch them closely. Water is a selective thief. It acts as a giant filter for light. At 250 feet, the red light waves, the longest and weakest, are the first to be absorbed by the water molecules. Look at the crimson corals. They are losing their fire. They look a dusty brown now. At 300 feet, the orange disappears next. The ocean is slowly, gently, stripping away the heat of the spectrum, leaving only the cool, calming blues and greens. At 400 feet, the pressure is now double what it was at the surface. We are leaving the world of the casual diver behind. Down here, the silence is more profound. The schools of fish, tuna, mackerel, and snapper, move in perfect, silent unison. Thousands of silver bodies turning at once, reflecting the fatting sun like a mirror breaking in slow motion. This is the heart of the blue mind. Your brain is beginning to synchronize with the slow, steady pressure of the water. At 500 feet, pause. Look at the silver of their scales. This is crypsis, the art of hiding in plain sight. They reflect the water around them so perfectly that they become the water. Imagine yourself doing the same, reflecting the calm, reflecting the blue. You are not a visitor. You are a part of the medium. Every cell in your body is realizing that there is nothing to do but sink. There is no hurry. The bottom is 7 miles away. We have all the time in the world. The transition, the thermocline. We are now crossing the 600-foot mark. We are leaving the epipelagic and approaching the ceiling of the Twilight Zone. Something invisible, yet powerful, is happening here. The thermocline. As we sink through 700 feet, you can feel the temperature shift. The warmth of the sun-baked surface is officially gone. The water is becoming crisp, cold, and incredibly still. This is the layer of change. The molecules are huddling closer together. The water is becoming more viscous, more supportive. It feels like you are being lowered into a pool of cool silk. At 800 feet, the light is no longer a shimmer. It is a uniform, heavy indigo. If you look up, the surface is no longer a window. It is a dim, glowing memory. A faint, circular halo of light marks where we once were. But we are not looking back. We are looking down into the darkening blue. Consider the weight of the water above you now. At 900 feet, the pressure is nearly 400 pounds on every square inch. And yet, look at the life here. Delicate, gelatinous siphonophores, creatures that look like long, glowing chains of lace. They are fragile, yet they are not crushed. Why? Because they are made of the water itself. They do not fight the pressure, they embrace it. If you have any pressure in your life, any tension in your jaw or your shoulders, let it become like the siphonophore. Don't fight it. Let it flow through you, become the water. At 1,000 feet, we reach a milestone. This is the end of the green. We are at the depth where the last of the green light waves are absorbed. From this point forward, the only color that exists in the natural world is blue. Every creature we encounter from here on has evolved to hide in this specific shade of navy. Look into the shadows. This is the realm of the big-eye fish, the Priacanthidae. Their pupils are massive, evolved to catch the final, stray photons of the sun. They are looking for the light, just as we are drifting away from it. Their eyes are like telescopes, searching for a sun that is now 1,000 feet away. Notice their slow, rhythmic gill movements. They are the masters of efficiency. They do not waste a single movement. Follow their lead. Quiet your hands, quiet your feet. Let the water carry you. The mesopelagic, the twilight shadows. We have officially entered the mesopelagic zone. The twilight between 1,000 and 2,500 feet. We are in the great liminal space of the ocean. It is a permanent dusk that has lasted for millions of years. It is a world of shadows and secrets. At 1,200 feet, the light has a quality I can only describe as ghostly. It is the color of a dream you can almost remember. This is where we see the first true giants. A mola mola or sunfish may drift by. It is a massive, prehistoric-looking disc of a fish, pulsing its fins with the steady beat of a metronome. It doesn't swim so much as it orbits the depth. At 1,500 feet, we encounter the dial vertical migration. Look around you. Do you see the clouds? They aren't clouds of vapor, but clouds of life. Trillions of tiny organisms, lanternfish, shrimp, and delicate jellyfish. They are rising upward in a massive, silent surge. This is the largest movement of biomass on Earth, and it happens every single night. Scientifically, it is a survival strategy. They spend their days here in the shadows to hide from the sharp eyes of predators, and they spend their nights at the surface to feed. You are drifting through the greatest traffic jam of life on the planet, yet it is perfectly silent. Not a single sound, only the soft brushing of gelatinous bodies against the water. Think of the collective energy of trillions of hearts beating softly in the dark. You are surrounded by life, yet you have never been more alone in your peace. At 1,800 feet, the light is so faint that if you held a book in front of your face, the pages would be blank. But the creatures here have found a different way to see. This is where we see the first true bioluminescence. Look to your left, a hatchetfish. It is tiny, silver, and shaped like a blade. But along its belly, it has photophores, organic light bulbs. It produces a faint blue light that perfectly matches the light coming from above. It is counter-illuminating. It is erasing its own shadow so that predators below cannot see its silhouette. It is a master of invisibility. Imagine yourself like the hatchetfish, dissolving into the blue. No edges, no silhouette, just light and water. At 2,000 feet, the pressure is now nearly 900 pounds per square inch. The water is very cold now, about 4 degrees Celsius. It is the temperature of a refrigerator, but it doesn't feel biting. It feels preserving. It feels like time has slowed down. Consider the sperm whale. At this very moment, one might be diving past us. It is a warm-blooded mammal, just like you. It has held its breath for an hour. It is heading into the dark to hunt giant squid. Think of the silence in the whale's mind. No breath, no sound. Only the sonar clicks click, 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 searching the dark. Let your mind become that vast, dark space. At 2,200 feet, we pass the oxygen minimum zone. The water here is old. It traveled from the poles centuries ago, sinking and sliding along the ocean floor before rising here. It is low in oxygen, which forces life to move in slow motion. The fish here have slow metabolisms. They move with an incredible, languid grace. They do not dart, they do not flee, they drift. Watch a jellyfish pulse. 1, 2, 3. It is the slowest heartbeat in the world. Let your heart match its rhythm. Slow, steady, languid. The gateway to the deep. We are approaching the end of the twilight. At 2,800 feet, we pass the Turtle Gate. This is the depth of the deepest diving leatherback sea turtles. They have reached their limit. Their shells have compressed under the weight. They must turn back now, seeking the air and the sun of the world above. We watch them go great, ancient spirits paddling upward. We, however, continue to sink. The pressure is now 1,200 pounds per square inch. At 3,000 feet, the blue is so dark, it is almost indistinguishable from black. The only thing that separates the two is the indigo ghost, the final scattered blue light that refuses to die. Notice the jellyfish here. They have changed. They are no longer the clear, transparent bells of the surface. Here they are deep reds and purples. In the blue light of the deep, red is the perfect camouflage. Red is invisible. They are like floating velvet ghosts, their tentacles trailing for 20, 30 feet behind them, like delicate lace in a dark cathedral. Think of the vampire squid, Vampirotuthis infernalis. Despite its name, it is a gentle scavenger. It drifts here with its cape of tentacles, collecting marine snow, the tiny flakes of organic matter falling from the world above. It is the recycler of the deep. It takes the leftovers of the sunlit world and turns them into life. At 3,200 feet, we feel the final thinning of the atmosphere. We are at the very edge of the sun's reach. The last photons are dying. If you were to open your eyes wide, you would see nothing, only the internal sparks of your own mind. At 3,300 feet, exactly 1 kilometer down, we hit the final boundary. This is the light extinction level. Look up one last time. There is no halo. There is no silver glow. There is no sun. The blue has turned to black. You have reached the ceiling of the midnight zone. The bathypelagic. Take a deep breath. The world of light, of noise, of heat, and of worry is now 1 entire kilometer above you. It cannot reach you here. It has no power in the dark. Ahead of us lies the infinite, peaceful, and perfect silence of the midnight zone. We are only just beginning. The kingdom of the midnight, the threshold of the bathypelagic. We have crossed the invisible line. Behind us is the world of the sun, the rhythm of the seasons, the movement of the wind, and the warmth of the day. All of those things are now a vertical mile above our heads. Ahead of us lies the bathypelagic zone, the midnight. It is the largest ecosystem on our planet, a vast, liquid inner space that covers most of the globe. Yet it is a place that has never, in billions of years, seen a single ray of sunlight. At 3,300 feet, the pressure is over 1,500 pounds per square inch. Imagine the weight of a heavy car resting on a space no larger than your thumbnail. And yet, there is no crushing sensation here. There is only a profound sense of holding. The temperature has stabilized at a constant, bone-chilling 39 degrees Fahrenheit. It is the temperature of a deep winter's night, held forever in stasis. In this darkness, the very concepts of up and down begin to dissolve. You are suspended in a liquid void, a dark matter that supports every limb and every thought. But look closely into the blackness. The ocean is not empty. It is filled with a soft, constant, and eternal rain known as marine snow. These tiny, white flakes are the lifeblood of the deep. They are fragments of the world above, bits of plankton, microscopic shells, scales, and even dust from the Saharan desert that has traveled thousands of miles across the wind, only to sink here in the beam of our imaginary spotlight. They look like a blizzard in slow motion. Each flake is a tiny capsule of energy. It takes weeks, sometimes months, for a single flake to drift from the surface to this depth. It is a silent, eternal gift from the sunlit world, feeding a kingdom that can never feed itself. Imagine the patience of the water, carrying this nourishment down through the miles. Let your mind become like a flake of marine snow, drifting, falling, with no effort at all. As we drift past 4,500 feet, we encounter the true residents of the dark. This is the realm of the Vampiroteuthis infernales, the vampire squid from hell. Do not let the name startle you. It was named by scientists who were frightened by its appearance in the early days of discovery. But in reality, it is one of the gentlest creatures in the ocean. It does not hunt. It does not bite. It simply exists. Imagine it floating there, its body a deep, velvety red. At this depth, red light does not exist. So the squid is effectively a shadow, a hole in the water. It reaches out with two long, silken filaments, thinner than a human hair, and waits. It catches the marine snow as it falls. Its eyes are a haunting, translucent blue, the largest eyes in proportion to its body of any animal on Earth. They are designed to catch the faintest glimmer of a biological spark. It is a ghost in a machine of water, moving only when it must, pulsing its webbed arms with the slow grace of a Victorian fan. Watch it drift. It has no heartbeat to speak of, no urgency, no fear. It has mastered the art of being still in a world of infinite room. The science of living light. We are moving deeper now. We are nearly 2 miles down. Here, the silence is so heavy it feels like a physical weight. A thick wool blanket for your ears. Because there is no sun to guide the creatures here. They have had to invent their own. They have mastered a different kind of fire. Bioluminescence. Nearly 90% of the life at this depth creates its own light. But I want you to understand the chemistry of this miracle. This isn't the hot, burning light of a candle or a bulb. This is cold light. It is created by a chemical reaction between a molecule called luciferin and an enzyme called luciferase. It is the most efficient light in the universe. A light bulb wastes 90% of its energy as heat. A deep-sea jellyfish wastes almost none. It is pure, cool, liquid light. Watch the distance. You might see a sudden flash of electric green. That is a jellyfish signaling to a mate in the void. You might see a row of glowing portholes. That is a hatchetfish using counter-illumination to erase its own shadow. The deep ocean is a galaxy of tiny organic stars. Each spark is a message. Each glow is a signature. At 8,000 feet, we encounter the anglerfish. In the darkness, she is a silhouette of jagged teeth. But look closer at her lure, the Esca. It is a small, glowing orb that bobbles at the end of a modified fin. This light is a miracle of cooperation. It is actually a colony of billions of bioluminescent bacteria living in a tiny, flesh-lined lamp. They provide the light. The fish provides the nutrients. It is a partnership of survival in the coldest, darkest place on Earth. Imagine the patience required to be an anglerfish. She does not swim to find food. She sits, she waits. She may sit in total darkness for days, or even weeks, without moving a single muscle. Her tiny lamp swaying in the current. She is the ultimate practitioner of stillness. Think of your own worries as fish swimming in the dark. You don't need to chase them. You don't need to catch them. You can just sit with your own internal light and let the world move around you. The Abyssal Plains, the Great Plains. We are now 3 miles down. We are entering the true abyss. The Abyssal Plains Zone. The very word abyss comes from the Greek abyssos, meaning bottomless. For most of human history, sailors and philosophers believed this place was exactly that, a void without an end, a hole in the world where things fell and never returned. The pressure here is now 6,000 pounds per square inch. To understand this weight, imagine the weight of a commercial airliner, a Boeing 747, resting directly on your chest. And yet, the life here is not crushed. It is not flattened. Why? Because these creatures have learned the secret of the deep: internal balance. They have no air pockets. They have no lungs to collapse. Their bodies are made mostly of water and non-compressible oils. They are at one with the pressure. They don't fight the ocean. They allow the ocean to be inside them. There is a deep lesson in this for us. When the pressures of the world feel heavy, don't harden yourself against them. Soften. Let the moment be what it is. If you are as fluid as the water, the pressure cannot break you. As we approach 13,000 feet, the seafloor finally rises to meet us. These are the Abyssal Plains. They stretch out beneath us in every direction. Vast, flat deserts of gray ooze and ancient dust. This is the largest habitat on Earth, covering more than 50% of our planet's entire surface. It is a landscape of absolute, terrifying stillness. There are no currents here, no storms, no seasons. The water at the bottom of the ocean hasn't seen the surface in over 1,000 years. It is fossil water, cold and ancient. If you were to drop a coin into this mud, it might sit undisturbed for 10 centuries. It is a place where time has no meaning. The scavengers of the silk. At these incredible depths, the marine snow we saw earlier is often not enough to sustain larger life. The flakes are too small, their energy spent. Here, the ocean relies on whale falls. Imagine a great blue whale, having lived a century in the sun, finally passing away. Its body slowly, majestically sinks. It takes a full day for the Titan to reach the floor. When it lands on the silken mud of the abyss, it creates an island of life in the desert. A single whale fall can provide a feast for an entire ecosystem for 50 to 70 years. First come the sleeper sharks, massive, slow-moving shadows that live for centuries. They move with a languid, slow-motion grace, taking only what they need. Then come the hagfish, and finally, the bone-eating worms, ostex. These tiny, flower-like worms use acid to dissolve the skeleton, turning bone into energy. It is a beautiful, somber cycle. In the deep sea, there is no waste. Death is the ultimate bringer of life. It is a place of total recycling, where every atom is cherished. Look at the sea cucumbers, the holothurians. They are the vacuum cleaners of the deep. They crawl across across the mud on hundreds of tiny tube feet, sifting through the silt for the smallest morsels of energy. They move so slowly that they seem like part of the geology, like rocks that have decided, very gradually, to change their position. Everything here is measured in decades, not minutes. The heartbeat of the abyss is slow. It is steady. It is the ultimate rest. Your own heartbeat is slowing now, matching the rhythm of the sea cucumbers. There is nowhere to go. There is nothing to do but exist. The gateway to the Hadal. We are nearly at the end of the second hour of our journey. The seafloor beneath us is no longer a flat plain. It is beginning to slope downward. The gray ooze gives way to jagged rock and dark shadows. The water is getting even colder, if that were possible, reaching the edge of freezing. We are approaching the 20,000 foot mark. This is the benthic boundary. We are passing the depth where the Titanic rests, at 12,500 feet, now seeming shallow, almost sunlit, compared to where we are now. We are moving past the graveyard of ships and into the graveyard of tectonic plates. The pressure is now a staggering 9,000 pounds per square inch. Every sound is muffled, as if the water itself is trying to protect you from the world above. You are 4 miles away from the air. You are 4 miles away from the noise, the politics, the screens, and the light. You are in the safest, quietest sanctuary in existence. Ahead of us, the floor drops away into a V-shaped shadow. It is the entrance to the Hadal Zone, the trench, the place named after Hades, the god of the underworld. But it is not a place of fire. It is a place of perfect, cool, black peace. Take a long, slow breath. Feel the weight of the blanket on your legs. Feel the support of the bed beneath your back. The descent is almost complete. The deepest part of the world is waiting for us, and it is more beautiful than we ever imagined. The Hadal Zone and the Challenger Deep, the threshold of Hades. We have reached the edge of the known world. At 20,000 feet, the flat, silent Abyssal Plains, those vast underwater deserts we have traversed for miles, suddenly fall away. They crumble into a jagged, V-shaped scar in the Earth's crust. This is the Hadal Zone. It is named after Hades, the Greek god of the underworld. The name is no longer a metaphor. This is a place of biological and physical extremes that defy the very logic of the surface world. As we tip over the precipice of the Mariana Trench, the geography shifts from the horizontal to the vertical. We are no longer in the open, infinite water. We are descending between the towering, invisible walls of a subduction zone. To To your left is the Pacific Plate, a massive, ancient slab of the Earth's crust that has been traveling across the globe at the speed of a fingernail's growth for 180 million years. To your right is the smaller, younger Mariana Plate. Here, the two giants meet in a slow-motion collision. The Pacific Plate, older and heavier, is being forced downward, buckling and snapping as it is swallowed back into the Earth's fiery mantle. Think of the energy stored in these walls. This is the birthplace of earthquakes, a cathedral of tectonic tension. At 21,000 feet, the pressure is now 11,000 pounds per square inch. It is difficult for the human mind to comprehend such weight. It is as if you are standing at the base of a skyscraper made entirely of solid lead, with the entire weight of the atmosphere multiplied 1,000 times over. And yet, look through the dark. Even here, in this crushing vertical canyon, there is movement. We pass the Mariana snailfish, Pseudoliparus swirei, at 22,000 feet. These are the deepest living fish ever recorded by human eyes. Look at them closely. They do not look like the jagged, armored monsters of Hollywood legend. They are translucent, pinkish white, and look as delicate as a wet tissue floating in the breeze. Their skin is so thin you can see their internal organs. Their bones are not made of hard, brittle calcium, which would snap like glass under this pressure, but of soft, flexible cartilage. They have evolved a special protein called TMAO, trimethylamine N-oxide, a piezolyte that acts as a chemical stabilizer, preventing their cellular membranes from being crushed into a jelly. They do not resist the pressure. They have invited the pressure into their very chemistry. They swim with a slow, ghostly elegance through the dark, completely unaware that they are pioneers of the impossible. Let your own mind be like the snailfish, soft, flexible, unbreakable, because you refuse to be rigid. We are now descending past 24,000 feet. We are moving into a realm where the water itself begins to change. Under this immense weight, the water molecules are packed so tightly that the speed of sound increases. The trench acts as a natural acoustic chamber, a whispering gallery for the planet. If you listen closely, truly listen, you can hear the heartbeat of the Earth. Scientists who have lowered specialized titanium-encased hydrophones into this trench have discovered that it is not silent. They have recorded the low-frequency, guttural groans of the tectonic plates grinding together, a sound like a rusted door the size of a continent swinging on its hinges. They have recorded the distant, muffled songs of blue whales 5 miles above. Their calls echoing down the canyon walls, like the ghosts of a different dimension. At 25,000 feet, we are 5 miles deep. If you were to take Mount Everest and flip it upside down, its peak would still be 5,000 feet above our current position. We have passed the death zone of the highest mountains, where the air is too thin to breathe, and we have entered the life zone of the deepest valleys, where the water is too heavy to imagine. Consider the supergiant amphipods, Alicella gigantea, that dwell here. In the shallow ocean, an amphipod is the size of a grain of rice. But here in the hadal zone, they undergo abyssal gigantism. They grow to the size of a dinner plate. Why? Because in this absolute stillness, there is no need for the frantic energy of the surface. Life can afford to take its time. These creatures are the ultimate scavengers. They possess an incredible sense of smell, detecting a single molecule of a decaying fish from miles away. They are the cleanup crew of the abyss, waiting with infinite patience for the hadal debris, the final microscopic remains of the marine snow that has survived the 7-mile fall. Imagine that patience, waiting for weeks for a single atom of energy. Every movement they make is a masterpiece of efficiency. They do not hurry. They do not worry. They simply exist in the wait. The cathedral of carbon. As we pass 27,000 feet, we enter a region of the trench that serves as a global carbon sink. Because of the V-shaped structure of the canyon, organic matter from the entire ocean eventually funnels down here. The trench is a library of the Earth's biological history. Every creature that has lived and died in the Pacific for millions of years has sent a tiny part of itself down to this floor. The water here is incredibly old. It is bottom water, oxygen-rich and cold. Having traveled on a conveyor belt from the Antarctic ice shelves over a period of nearly 1,000 years. As you breathe in, imagine you are breathing that ancient, purified air that has been scrubbed by the weight of the world. At 29,000 feet, we find the small-eyed macroeurids. Their eyes have regressed into tiny, vestigial dots. In a world of total darkness, the energy required to maintain sight is a luxury they can no longer afford. They have traded vision for touch. They have long, sensitive lateral lines that can feel the heartbeat of a shrimp from 10 feet away. They navigate by the feel of the water. Think about your own life. How often are we blinded by what we see? Here at 6 miles deep, you are forced to navigate by feeling. Feel the weight of your blankets. Feel the temperature of the room. Feel the steady, rhythmic expansion and contraction of your chest. You do not need to see the future to move through it. You only need to feel the present moment. The macreurid thrives in the dark because it trusts its senses. Trust your own stillness. You are safe in the dark. The inner space, the Challenger Deep. We are now approaching the absolute limit of our planet. 30,000 feet. We are entering the Challenger Deep, not a single hole, but a series of 3 small, slot-shaped basins at the very bottom of the Mariana Trench. The light of the sun is now a concept so distant it no longer feels real. If the sun were to go out at this very moment, the creatures here would not know for 1,000 years. The surface world with its storms, its politics, its cities, and its chaos is a different dimension entirely. It is a thin, noisy film on the top of a very deep, very quiet reality. The walls of the trench are narrowing now. The pressure is nearly 16,000 pounds per square inch. This is enough pressure to compress water itself. The water here is actually 5% denser than at the surface. It is heavy water. It supports you with a ferocity that is almost maternal. At 32,000 feet, the water temperature strangely begins to rise. Just a fraction of a degree, but it is noticeable. This is not the warmth of the sun. It is the warmth of the Earth's heart. We are now so deep that the heat from the core is radiating through the thin crust of the trench floor. There are serpentinization vents nearby, places where seawater meets mantle rock, creating a chemical reaction that produces hydrogen and methane. This is the primordial soup. Many scientists believe that life on Earth did not begin in a sunlit pond, but right here in the dark, powered by the chemical heat of the planet. You are returning to the cradle of all life. You are going home. The silent descent, the final mile, 5,280 feet of water left to traverse. At 34,000 feet, the marine snow has finally vanished. The water is surgically clear, filtered by the miles of pressure above. We are drifting through a void, so pure it feels, as if we are floating in the vacuum of deep space. You are in the most isolated place in the known universe. There are more people who have walked on the surface of the moon than have stood where you are now. Feel that isolation. It is not the isolation of being lonely. It is a profound, sacred privacy. You are hidden. You are untouchable. The weight of 7 miles of ocean acts as a perfect shield against the demands of the world. No one can call you here. No one can find you here. No one can ask anything of you here. You are granted the rare gift of total anonymity. As we pass 35,000 feet, we see the Hyrndalia gigas, tiny, translucent shrimp-like creatures that have learned to thrive in this final basin. They have evolved a unique digestive enzyme that allows them to turn wood, sunken driftwood from the surface, into sugar. Think of that, a piece of a tree that grew in the sunlight of an island thousands of miles away, sinking for weeks, only to provide a feast for a creature that will never know what a tree is. The universe is connected in ways we cannot see. The surface and the deep are two halves of the same breath. Touchdown, the bedrock of the soul. The descent is slowing. Our imaginary lights begin to reflect off the floor of the world. At 36,070 feet, we gently touch down. The ground beneath us is not sand. It is not rock. It is a fine, gray, diatomaceous ooze, the dust of the stars. It is composed of the silica shells of trillions of microscopic creatures that have been falling to this spot for millions of years. It is as soft as powdered silk, as light as a memory. When we land, a small cloud of this dust rises and hangs in the water, suspended in the absolute stillness. Because there are no currents, it may take days for that single cloud of dust to settle back down. That is how quiet it is here. Look around the Challenger Deep. It is a featureless, lunar landscape. It is a desert of the spirit. And yet, look closer at the mud. Do you see those small, branching structures? Those are xenophyophores. They are the largest single-celled organisms on the planet. They are essentially giant, living amoebas, some the size of a human hand, that have found a way to thrive under the weight of an entire ocean. They are the sentinels of the deep. They remind us that even in the most extreme conditions imaginable, life finds a way to be. There is a strange, paradoxical warmth in this realization. Even at the very end of the world, there is a pulse. Even in the deepest dark, there is a breath. Even under the highest pressure, there is a soul. The final rest, the infinite drift. You have done it. You have reached the bottom. There is nowhere deeper to go. There is no more sinking to be done. You are resting on the bedrock of the world. The 7 miles of water above you act as a cathedral. They block out the noise of the humans. They block out the glare of the sun. They block out the frantic weight of tomorrow. You are cradled in the most stable environment on Earth, a place where nothing has changed for an eternity, and nothing will change for an eternity more. Imagine the water holding you now. It is heavy, but it is not crushing. It is a firm, constant, loving embrace. It is the blue mind in its purest, most absolute form. Your heart rate has slowed to match the rhythm of the trench. Your breathing is as deep and steady as the slow motion tectonic plates beneath you. The darkness is not a void. It is a blanket of heavy black velvet. Stay here for a while. Let the silence of the Challenger deep fill the empty spaces in your mind. Let the stillness of the abyss settle into your limbs until you can no longer tell where your body ends and the water begins. You are safe. You are deep. You are finally truly at rest. The ocean will be here when you wake. The sun will still be there, 7 miles above. But for now, just drift. Good night from the deep.